My late grandpa started his farm when he was in his early 20s. There were financial problems along the way, but he became successful and he became rich. My late grandma, who died last year, grew up in an average working-class home. My parents came from rich families and went to private schools and Ivy League colleges. My mother and father always wanted 3 kids, 2 girls and 1 boy. I'm the youngest out of 3 girls, and my parents were desperately hoping their last child would be a boy. But since I was a girl, they were resentful of me, and they didn't show any love to me, and I was pretty much treated like Cinderella. Because my parents showed resentment towards me, my sisters did too, and they bullied me, and they got away with it. We were treated differently as they both went to private schools and private colleges. They were also allowed to do whatever they wanted and eat whenever they wanted. I went to a public school and public college, and I could only eat 3 meals a day. I don't mind attending a public school, but I'm just trying to show how I was treated differently. On the weekends, I was shipped off to my grandmother's so they could have family time. At age 12, I asked my grandmother if I could live with her, and she agreed. When she asked my parents, they immediately said yes and started packing my bags. While going to my grandmother's house on the weekend, she made me work on the farm. Even while living with her permanently, she made me work on the farm at weekends. I hated that I had to work on the farm, and looking back now, I realize why she made me do it. She made me work on the farm as a source of therapy as I was constantly arguing, and her animals were my therapy. I remember spending most days sitting with the horses and feeding the chickens. I also spent a lot of time running across her fields. My grandmother sadly passed away last year, and she left the whole estate to me, which my family wasn't pleased about. I decided to leave my job as a lawyer and work full-time on the farm, and I'm so much happier. When my grandmother was alive, she used part of her fields for wedding venues and events. She allowed charities to have events on her farm free of charge. 2 months ago, my sister got in contact with me after 4 years of no contact. She said she was engaged and asked me if she could use Grandma's field as a wedding venue as she would like to get married. The thing is, I can't let go of the past, and I've started therapy, but I told her I need some time to think about it. My first thought was to charge my sister a price for the venue and make it a price she couldn't afford, but it didn't feel right, so I simply said no. Now she's passed my number on to my parents and my other sister, and they're all saying this is my grandmother's farm and she should be allowed to get married on the farm, and I should even do it for free. My emotions are pretty high right now, and I need to know if I'm the idiot. This is your response. This is the only home I've ever known. It will not be used by people who threw me away like yesterday's trash when I was a child and have not chosen to be a part of my life since then. You burned the relationship to the ground years ago. Grandma knew who all of you were as human beings, and she would not be pleased to have you all piling on like you are. Legally, this property belongs to me, and each of you knows why. My property is off limits. Sister may not hold her wedding on my property. If they escalate, tell them you will consider it trespassing if they step foot on your property and follow through when one of your parents does, because one of them will. I'd pay money to see the expression on their faces if and when they read this from OP. It's excellently written. Yeah, this will knock them dead. Oh, and make sure that around the planned date of the wedding, either a nice metal concert books the place out or is being freshly manured around the lovely garden areas. Bonus points if the cows are in the lanes blocking access. Right? The audacity of people who burn bridges and then ask to visit. Not the idiot, and I would 10,000% recommend putting your foot down and not caving. This is a situation they created themselves. They treated you poorly, sent you to your grandmother's, and were excited when you asked to live with her. I'm very glad you found happiness on the farm, and I hope you continue to do so. I'd go back to no contact with your family. I'd block all of them immediately. I, male 39, have known my wife for 10 years now, and we've been married for 7. When I met her, she had a toddler daughter, now a young teen. I always made it a point to treat her as I would my own kid, and we became close pretty quickly. When she was around 4, she even started calling me Daddy. Her biological dad comes in and out of my stepdaughter's life. She calls us both Dad, but she usually goes around home with my wife, and I refer to him by his first name. Well, last night she was visiting with her bio-dad when I got a text from my stepdaughter wondering if I could pick her up. Well, I got there and she was sitting outside with her bio-dad holding her arm. She came over to my car and told me she was messing around with a skateboard and fell on her arm. Her arm was bruised and swollen, and it was hard for her to move. I asked her bio-dad why he didn't call my wife. He said, I don't think it's that bad. She's just being dramatic. My stepdaughter looked at me and asked, Dad, can we please just go? I'm in a lot of pain. As she was getting in the car, I told her bio dad, see, this is why I'm her real dad, not you. I actually care for her and her well-being. Later that night, my wife got an angry text from bio dad calling me an idiot, and my wife kind of agreed that I was being an idiot at that moment. Daughter actually did break her arm, but her bio dad wasn't going to do anything about it. I'm the one who was in the ER with her until 1 a.m. Also, I would like to add I don't call her my stepdaughter. Instead, I call her my daughter. For the sake of the story, I figured it would be easier. She told me they were sitting for around 2 hours until the pain became intolerable. It was clearly not okay. As I said, it was bruised, swollen, and hard for her to move. How long was that poor girl sitting there with a broken arm? 2 hours? Christ alive, suffering for 2 hours while her father accuses her of overreacting and being dramatic. You are not the idiot. If I were in your shoes, I would have said much worse to that man. This should be cause to revisit the visitations. If she's not safe in his home and he refuses to get her medical care in an emergency, she shouldn't be there without supervision. I know accidents happen and kids get hurt, but it's not the accident that's the issue here. It's his apathy and disdain for his child that's the problem. Also, his child broke her arm and he's whining because that mean man said something that hurt my feelings. Wah! Oh please, what a pathetic excuse for a human being. Everyone's the idiot here. Laying into the guy is one thing, saying I'm the real dad is another. Opie's wife has to take the phone call from her ex, and no matter how angry she is at him, she has to smooth things over for her daughter's sake. I get that OP was angry, but by showing up and taking the daughter to the ER, he proved that he was the real dad. He didn't have to say it out loud. I get that OP was concerned and really angry, but leaving a mess for your loved ones to clear up isn't the answer. OP shouldn't have said it. He should have left it up to his wife to deal with her ex. My 27 female parents divorced when my brother and I were around 6 because he had a mistress and another child, our half-sister, 25. On the day my parents finalised their divorce and my dad received full custody, both she and her mom came to live with us. Suffice to say, we didn't like either of them. When she was a child, she didn't understand why we didn't want to spend time together, and she would complain to our dad about us and then he would punish us. This added to our hatred. Growing up, she was his precious child and he would celebrate her birthdays and her milestones while ignoring ours. He always catered to her wants and desires, but never bothered to learn about ours. Any of her wrongdoings would be easily forgiven, but if my brother and I made any mistakes, like dropping the TV remote, he'd severely berate us. Despite belonging to a wealthy family, my brother and I struggled financially and couldn't apply for scholarships. After all these and more, when we became mature enough, we moved away and had no contact with them. I thought that we'd never meet again, or so I thought. Unfortunately, the universe played me a fool and I met her at my in-laws' family dinner. She was dating my husband's brother and he brought her over to introduce her to his family for the first time. I was in disbelief and wanted to ignore her, but she saw me and happily reunited with me. She told them that we were friends. Fast forward to the present day. They're now engaged, I have a toddler son, and except for my husband and his brother, no one from their family knows that we're half-sisters. We recently celebrated our son's birthday and held a small party with just our friends and family. Brother-in-law came to the party, she didn't, but when we were going through the presents my son received, I saw a gift with her name on it. It was addressed as Aunt Blank to my son's name, and it made me feel uncomfortable. I told my husband I'd return it and I don't want anything from her in my son's life. He was reluctant but supported me, so I did. Later, when she received the return package, she called me and asked why, and I told her my reasons. She said I was being immature by denying a gift meant for someone else, and she gave it to him as his uncle's fiancée. While my husband agrees that I shouldn't have returned a gift given in goodwill, I haven't done anything wrong. But according to my brother, I'm being an idiot to someone who's respected my wishes and remained distant. Am I the idiot for returning her present? So, I didn't read anything that she did to deserve this behavior from you. I have a half-sister, and she's my mother's golden child. I've watched this kid go on trips all around the world, get her wants and needs met, etc. And do I hate her or treat her horribly? I do not. It's my mother's doing, not my sister's. And even though I have a little bit of jealousy and think it's unfair, do I then treat my sister in a bad manner? I don't. Even though a part of me grieves for the younger version of me, I'm thankful that my sister gets to do things I didn't because she's family. You need to take a hard look at yourself and be mad at your dad. You're angry at the wrong person. I mean this in the nicest way. You need to grow the heck up. Carrying all that hate and bitterness around will come back to you tenfold. I'm sorry, but you are the idiot. Exactly, your anger seems misplaced. Your father was the idiot. And how and why the heck are you keeping the fact that she's your half-sister a secret? That's going to come out and people would be pretty cross they've been lied to. You're trying to make a point by taking away from your own child and creating drama where there doesn't need to be any. If your half-sister gets married to your brother-in-law, she will be in your life in some way no matter what. She's going to be part of your extended family. Your actions are going to create problems for your husband and extended family. You will create rifts between you and your husband's family, which isn't smart. You should sit down with her and work out how things will go. Like it or not, she's part of your family now. My sister is 23 and I'm a 20-year-old female. We're both adopted, but we do share the same biological parents as well. My sister and I were both adopted as infants. She was placed at birth and our parents adopted her. When they learned our birth parents were expecting another kid, they wanted to apply for adoption and adopt me as well. My birth parents decided not to have any contact with us and to leave us no letter or anything. This is something I've always been fine with. I do not consider my birth parents my real parents or even people I need to have contact with. My sister has always longed to know more about our birth family, the reason we were both placed for adoption, especially when we're full siblings and our birth parents were still together 3 years after placing her. Over the years, she's talked about them and asked our parents what they know about them. Our parents didn't know much but promised to help us find answers when we were old enough if we wanted that. My sister always dreamed that we'd do the birth family search together. However, I never wanted to get involved in that. Now I'm expecting a baby, and my sister has decided it's the time. She said my son could have 2 more grandparents if we did this. I told her I didn't want to join her in the search and wouldn't get involved. She told me this is something we both need to do, and I need to do it for my son and all future kids so they know where they come from and who their family is. I told her those people were not my family. I told her my family are the people we grew up with. Our parents intervened twice. They told my sister that this is a personal thing and that it's important to respect each other's viewpoints and wishes. The second time, they told her they would help her search, but she needed to leave me out of it unless I changed my mind. My sister tried to get my husband on her side, and he told her to drop the topic. So she went back to her telling me we were doing it, and as someone about to become a mom, I should do it, and she's damn sick of me digging in my heels. She told me a good mom would do this. Hearing that is what made me say she can't bully me into doing what she wants. She was hurt I would accuse her of bullying and told me I didn't need to be so much about all of this. My husband and parents think what I said was fair, but I still feel so bad. My sister took my words hard. Am I the idiot? So, does she not understand that strong-arming is a form of bullying? She is 1000% bullying you and is now trying to play the victim now that you've called her out on it. Don't back down. Your feelings matter and are valid. Your family is the people who raised you. Stick to your truth and live your best life. You are not the idiot. I told her she can't bully me into doing what she wants. She was hurt. A hit dog will holler. She knows she's bullying you but justifies it by blaming you for not capitulating to her demands. Stop engaging with her on this topic. If she messages you about it, ignore her. If she approaches you about it, walk away. Short of going no contact, there isn't anything else you can do. Yep, the old, look what you made me do. If you just did whatever I wanted, I wouldn't have to push you like that. Shtick controlling people use. OP, your sister's full of crap. She doesn't get to decide what you should do. I honestly hope if she finds bio parents, she's not hurt again. They chose to have a closed adoption with no contact. Sadly, she may find they still want no contact. My ex and I have 2 kids, Micah, teen male, and Hannah, younger teen female. Micah is my wife's biological child and my adopted son. Hannah is our biological child. My ex always favoured Micah and spoiled him so much that he has turned into a very unlikable person. I really loved him when he was a kid, but now I don't really like him. He's a bully at school. My ex believes that he's just kidding and other students are too soft, and at home he bullies Hannah. He also doesn't do any chores and believes these are women's jobs, and he just sits in front of the TV all day, watching and eating, and expects his sister to do everything for him. I tried to discipline him, but my ex made it impossible because she vetoed all of my decisions. I hate to admit it, but after the divorce, Hannah and I were relieved that we didn't have to live with him anymore. I told my ex that I want full custody of Hannah. Where we live, she's old enough to choose, and she can have Micah to herself. Micah and my ex think I'm an idiot for abandoning my adoptive son. Am I? Not the idiot. She blocked you from helping. That's on her. The result is what they wanted and what they got. No need for you to think about it further. You're not abandoning Micah. You're protecting Hannah. They need to hear that in so many words, over and over. Be very clear that Micah is a danger to Hannah's well-being and that his behaviour drives how people react to him. I know it doesn't make it any better, but your ex will see the monster she created when he turns on her one day. She'll probably cry over it to the rest of the family and play the victim. Your abandoned quotation marks suggest that you don't see what you're doing as abandoning when it is. Micah is your son because you adopted him. The issue of his mother vetoing disciplining him is something you should have resolved or led to a split long ago. But if her attitude was that bio trumped adoptive for rulemaking, then she can't change that now. Overall, this looks like everyone's the idiot here, except your daughter. Look, Micah won't really want to stay with you now that his mother can't affect your house rules and you won't have his sister wait on him. Give them a clear list of the rules and chores you'll expect. None of this, but it's a woman's work attitude will be acceptable and Micah will drop you soon enough. But what he's been allowed to get away with so far has done him a huge disservice, and even if you felt vetoed, you were still part of that.